that's a very pertinent question, because when I'm asked, I mean, I immediately recognize the importance of the question, and here's the answer that I give, that I'm going to give to you. Well, first of all, that's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked, and I want you to understand why I say. First of all, I have nothing to prove, okay? My legacy is cemented in public service. I love Memphis. Okay, I love Memphis. I have given so much of my life for public service, school superintendent, and then mayor. And all of a sudden, I'm living in the midst of a crisis, observing my city decline in national stature. The Tyree Nichols situation, which really damaged our image severely. And then the other Department of Justice situation, all of that. The deterioration of neighborhoods, the roads, the infrastructure, schools. Hopefully our schools will get better. So I said, you know, I could sit on the sideline. I'm very comfortable, okay? Very comfortable, okay? I love real estate development. I just bought 20 acres wooded area that I want to develop. And I was writing my memoir, Joe. I'm writing a trilogy, and I'm doing most of it myself. But there I saw the urgent need for leadership. And when I looked at these candidates, Joe, and I'm just telling you very truthfully, I did not see a single candidate for mayor that I felt as a citizen and as a former mayor that they could take this city out of its state of crisis and give it the leadership that we need. So I had to pray about it, told my family, told my good friend Michael, I said, I'm gonna get back in the ring, baby. Then I prayed about it. I prayed about it. I don't know if you know the biblical character Caleb in the Bible, and I don't want to get too biblical with you, but Caleb was 85 years old. Yeah, he was 85 years old when he took on the giants. Oh, you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. You know what who the giants are in Memphis today?
Poverty.
Poverty.
Crime.
Crime. Deteriorating neighborhoods, okay? A lot of homelessness. Those are the giants. So I asked God to give me this mountain. So he's gonna give it to me. Let me tell you what I've learned. And primarily these lessons have come from my interactions with people. There are so many people in Memphis. They're black, they're white, and different nationalities, all of that. They are deeply concerned about where Memphis is in crime. They remember when I was the mayor. They remember Blue Crush. They remember that the streets were safer, neighborhoods were safer, and everybody didn't have to agree with me, but they saw a leader, a decisive leader. So they put me on a guilt trip. People asking me to come back. So we need you back. We need you back. We need you back. Now, I have my critics, okay? I got a lot of those too. But Joe, I kept running into people saying, Dr. Herenton, we need you to come back. So that weighed heavily on me as well. Hopefully I'm answering your question. It's just people.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I'm sitting up in Houston, people. Piccadilly's, Save-A-Lot, Whole Foods, these are the places I go to, okay? First of all, and this may be self-serving, history's already recorded that I'm the longest serving mayor in the history of Memphis, okay? And I think Dr. Crawford, who's a famous historian, wrote that I was the most well-educated mayor in the history of Memphis. So I served the city well. No one has ever served to the extent. Then I came into leadership, Joe, when downtown Memphis was desolate. It was barren. It was under my leadership and public-private partnerships that turned this city around. Look at it today, it's flourishing. But it was the Herenton leadership. We didn't have any professional sports. How do you think AutoZone parked? Do you know how hard it was to convince AutoZone to relocate from Poplar to downtown? Jack Bell, John Dudas, and Robert Lipson can tell you, but it took all of us with leadership. That is one of the best corporate moves that has been made in the history of Memphis. Look at downtown today, recruiting Fortune 500 companies here. That was on our leadership, Joe. So no one else has done that. And let's talk about the NBA franchise. Do you remember, Joe, how many of those suburbanites that fought me? They had all of these signs, and you were showing them on your television station, no NBA, no NBA. And they said, Herenton, well, he must be losing his mind. If we want to get a team, why don't the billionaire pay for it? And I simply said to them, when you get a professional sports franchise, it's a partnership. These guys are billionaires, they're not stupid. They're gonna make you gotta pay something to get it. And Mr. Heisler at that time was the original owner. And he said to me very clearly, he said, Mr. Mayor, if you want my team, you have got to build me a state-of-the-art arena like, what is it, Conseco in Indianapolis. So what's the cost? Around $250 million. So we put together the team, Arlen Pearl was alive then, and we did a lot of things. We made it happen, but it took leadership. If you will remember, you know, some of my critics call me King Willie. Do you know how I got that title?
Because of Mike Fleming on right-wing radio?
You're right, but the issue, Joe, was at that particular time, if you will remember, there was an attorney. He was very aggressive. In fact, he brought a whole army of media people at my office. He's the guy, see, remember I told him to get the hell out of my office because he came up abruptly and he was against getting the team, and he came to me to voice his opinion because I stated very clearly there was not going to be a referendum. He said, Herenton thinks he's king. He doesn't want us to vote. I said, there will be no vote. We're going to make this happen. We're going to get this team, and we're going to build a state-of-the-art arena. So then that's when they started calling me King Willie. He won't let people vote. He's ruling like a king.
I got it. I remember. Man, that's been a minute. That's been a minute since all that.
Now look, we have this team, what, 20 years? A little over 20 years. But it took leadership, Joe. So to answer your question, just go back in history, look at these candidates, okay? None of them have a track record. I have a record. You want to know why I didn't go on all these debates? Because I have a record. My record is very clear to be analyzed, okay? I have a record. I won't be answering your question directly, but this person is not a Memphian, but gave so much to Memphis. It's Dr. Martin Luther King. I marched with Dr. King on 2 occasions. I was 28 years old when we marched with Dr. King and he was assassinated. Getting involved in the civil rights movement under the leadership of Dr. King caused me to become transformed from a boy to a man, and you may not understand that. From boyhood to manhood and standing on principles and integrity and the struggle. So it's not a typical Memphian. So it's Dr. Martin Luther King. That's who motivated me to be the man that I am today. It's Dr. King and the struggle. So it's not a Memphian. So I had to, it's Dr. King. Yeah.
When you look at, can you name some Memphians you regard as heroes?
I can name some Memphians that have been very influential in my growth and development, but it's not more than, and then I'm gonna get in trouble because I can't name everybody. Yeah. But I feel very close to the Bells family. Jack Bells, the late Ira Lipman. Ira Lipman was a very dear friend, and a lot of people don't understand it. It was Ira Lipman that donated funds for the first crime summit. It was Ira Lipman that sponsored the creation of the Crime Commission. He doesn't get a lot of credit. So Ira was over Mike Rose, chairman of the board of Holiday Corporation. Ron Terry was the chairman of the board of, these were guys who gave me opportunities for me to learn a lot about corporate America and corporate Memphis. Now, Maxine Smith, whom you really thought I was going to say was the number one. Okay. Maxine gave a lot to the civil rights struggle and my struggle to become the superintendent of schools. I think you will know this, Joe, and it's regrettable because it's still a problem. Memphis has always struggled with race, and we still got an issue. Racism, classism, and now it's just partisan politics is so divisive, okay? So Maxine Smith, Dr. Sugarman Willis was very influential. They were two African-American women that were strong during the civil rights movement. So I was motivated by them during the Black Mondays and all of that. And then John Freeman, Mr. Freeman, gave me an opportunity to succeed him as a superintendent of schools. And if you will remember, Joe, I was 39 years old. I was the youngest school superintendent of a big city in America. But Joe, first of all, and that's a profound question that you've raised with me. We've got to fix the police culture in Memphis. That culture has been severely damaged. So given the DOJ, Department of Justice, investigation of Memphis, I think we've got to restore trust, public confidence in the Memphis Police Department. So I got to take a deep look at that, okay? Concomitant with that is bringing back Blue Crush. I want to bring back a reimagined Blue Crush. Blue Crush was the most effective crime-fighting strategy that I've seen in Memphis, and it's been basically dismantled, okay? I want to bring it back, reimagine, with some new facets to it. I've got to find a competent executive team. I've been out of government for a while. I don't know where the talent is. I'm looking for the best and the brightest and people with commitment to make Memphis a better city. So really selecting a competent management team, and hopefully one that's youthful, one that's visionary, and one that has the integrity and the love for Memphis. So I gotta get a good team, a good competent team to help me to take the city to the next level. Then I gotta have a financial audit. I don't know where Memphis is financially today, okay? I'm not looked at the financial status of Memphis today. So I've gotta have an audit of all the fiscal affairs to see where we are. Those are just some of the kinds of things I'll have to do. But Joe, to be honest with you, and it may seem self-serving, the mayor was not a tough job for me. The school superintendency was a far more demanding job than being the mayor of the city of Memphis. I was prepared to be mayor. The school superintendent, that was a tough job at the time I took it. In the aftermath of busing, if you remember all of that, I took it at a very tough time, okay? Being the mayor, it was not a tough job for me, no. So I can go back, as one guy says, I'm ready day one, but I'm truly ready day one.